Titanic had a grand staircase, but can it handle a sushi bar or water slides? Titanic 882 feet, 2,200 people, a pool, no balcony, but elegance? 10 out of 10. Wow. Modern ships, 1,200 feet long, 7,000 plus passengers, roller coasters, spas, balcony rooms galore. Titanic had a live orchestra. Today, we have Broadway shows and ice skates at sea. Will you trade history with high-speed internet? Or would you rather dine a rich style saloon? Comment Titanic or today. Like and follow for more ocean liner travel. You know Titanic, the so-called unsinkable ship that sank in 1912? Did you know she had two sisters and their stories was just as wild? First up, RMS Olympic, Titanic's older, tougher sister. Launched in 1910, she was nicknamed the Old Reliable, and for good reason. She served 2 decades, even through World War I. During the war, she rammed and sank a German U-boat. Yeah, Titanic may have gone down in history, but Olympic went down slinging. And came HMHS Titanic, Titanic's younger sister and the largest out of the three. She was transformed into a hospital ship during World War I. But in 1916, she struck a mine in the Aegean Sea and sank in just 55 minutes. Miraculously, most of her patients survived. Fun fact, Violet just survived all incidents of the three ships. Titanic sinking, and Olympic's collision with an HMS Hawk. The Titanic was a tragedy, Olympic was a survivor, and Britannic was a forgotten giant. Titanic and Britannic rest at the bottom of the ocean. Olympic was scrapped in 1935. Three sisters, three fates, one unforgettable legacy. Want more forgotten stories of the deep? Hit subscribe, you won't believe what's next. When you think of an ocean liner, what's the first thing you picture? Those giant funnels. And here's the funny thing, not every funnel was actually needed.
Take the Titanic.
She only had 4, but she only needed 3 of them to vent out smoke from her boilers. The 4th funnel was actually used for ventilation, and let's be honest, it makes the ship bigger and more powerful. Because back then, more funnels were more prestige. Passengers saw the funnels and thought, wow, this ship must be fast. Even though it wasn't. So next time you're on an ocean liner and see those funnels, think there will be more for marketability than practicality. Follow for maritime history and see you on What If Wednesday. Everybody knows Titanic sank on her main voyage, but what if I told you she nearly didn't leave at all? On April 10th, 1912, as Titanic left the dock, her sides created a massive suction current. It ripped another ship, the SS New York, off its mooring. The two ships came inches of colliding. Seriously, if it wasn't a quick-sinking tugboat, Titanic might have never seen the open sea. Some people called it a bad omen, considering what happened 4 days later. Yeah, they might happen right. From a near collision to an iceberg, Titanic's main voyage was doomed from the start. Coincidence or a cursed voyage? More eerie ship facts? You know what to do. Like and subscribe. When we think about Titanic, we often remember the wealthiest passengers, or the tragic sinking. Among those 2,200 souls aboard, there was a man whose story is little well known. Joseph Philippe Lemcarloshi, the only black passenger on Titanic. Joseph was born in 1886 in Haiti, a country with a rich history in the first Black Republic. He was talented, ambitious, and a trained engineer, educated in France, a rare accomplishment at the time. Despite his education, Joseph struggled to find work in France due to racial discrimination. Refusing to give up, he decided to return to Haiti, his homeland, where opportunities awaited. In April 1912, Joseph, his wife, pregnant with the 3rd child, and their 2 younger daughters boarded the Titanic as second-class passengers, heading for a fresh start. But the tragedy struck on night of April 14th. Titanic collided with an iceberg. As chaos erupted, Joseph had to make a heart-wrenching choice. He helped his wife and his daughters into a lifeboat, putting their safety above his own. Joseph never made it into a lifeboat himself. He perished in the freezing North Atlantic, but his wife and daughters survived and later moved back to France to raise their family. For decades, Joseph's story remained largely forgotten, but today historians are reclaiming his legacy, reminding us that the Titanic story includes heroes of every race and background. Joseph Fipene Lamkar Loshi's life reminds us to look deeper. Behind the historical event are untold stories of courage, hope, and humanity. If Joseph's story moved you, share this video and comment respect to honor this brave man. He survived Titanic, but was erased from memory. His name is Lin Bing, and you probably never heard of him. One of the 8 Chinese men on board, and only one of 6 to survive. Lin Bing was a sailor and fireman, part of a group of Chinese workers who boarded Titanic in 3rd class on April 10, 1912. They headed to New York to find work and a better life. They had no idea where their journey will become a fight for survival, or that their identities will be buried by under a century of silence. When Titanic struck the iceberg, chaos spread. Lin Bing and his companions, trained in emergency conditions as sailors, acted quickly. One Chinese survivor, possibly Lin Bing, was found clinging to a side of a collapsible lifeboat in the freezing Atlantic, soaked and freezing, but alive. When the Carpathia rescued the survivors, Lin Bing and others were treated like ghosts. No interviews, no headlines, just silence. Why? Because of racism. The Chinese Exclusion Act was still in effect. In just 24 hours after surviving one of the history's worst disasters, Lin Bing was deported. Lin Bing returned to work at sea. He likely continued sailing on cargo lines, fading into obscurity. His name was never mentioned in the official White Star Line statements. No one asked how he survived. No one cared what he felt. His story, like many others, was lost beneath the waves of prejudice. Over 100 years later, researchers uncovered the truth. Lin Bing was not alone and not forgotten. His story and other stories of other Chinese survivors were finally being told. They're not cowards. They're not stowaways. They were men who wanted a future and refused to die quietly. Lin Bing survived history's greatest maritime disaster, only to be erased from it. But now his voice is raising from the deep. Comment remember Lin Bing and help rewrite history. He designed Titanic and died, helping others survive it. His name is Thomas Andrews, and he is the ship's true unsung hero. Born in 1873 in Coleman, Northern Ireland, he was born into shipbuilding royalty. His uncle owned Harland Wolff, the shipyard that would build Titanic. He started as an apprentice. Every bolt, beam, and bulkhead he built from the ground up. Colleagues said he was calm, brilliant, and deeply respected. As chief designer, he brought Titanic to life, not as a monument to luxury, but a testament and a triumph to engineering. In April 1912, Thomas Andrews boarded the Titanic, the shroud, to observe every little detail and improvements for the returning voyage. Then the unthinkable. April 14th at 11:40 p.m., the Titanic struck the iceberg. Within an hour, Thomas knew that the ship wouldn't survive. Instead of seeking safety, Thomas Andrews bolted into action, racing to the corridors, knocking on the doors, ordering passengers up, and handing out life jackets. He directed lifeboat loading. He broke down language barriers. He even gave his own coat to a shivering woman on deck. Multiple survivors recalled sawing him last in the first-class smoking room. Calm, resigned. He made no attempts to save himself. His final act was to save others. Thomas Andrews is not just the man who helped build Titanic. He was the one that went down with the ship, selflessly and courageously. He gave his life, not out of duty, but out of character. Comment honor to pay tribute to his sacrifices. She didn't just survive the Titanic, she took command of a lifeboat, confronted injustice, and rewrote history. This is the real story of unthinkable Molly Brown. Margaret Tumblin was born in a tiny river town, a daughter of a poor Irish immigrant. She left school at 13 to work in a factory sewing carpets. At 18, she moved to the west of Leadville, Colorado, working at a department store. And there she met James Joseph Brown, a self-educated mining engineer. In 1893, J.J. Brown struck it rich with gold mine. The Browns became certainly millionaires, but Margaret never forgot where she came from. She used her wealth to fund schools, feed the hungry, and fight for minors, women's rights, and education. In 1912, Margaret was returning from the US from the trip abroad. She boarded the RMS Titanic as a first-class passenger. On April 14th, the ship struck an iceberg. Molly helped others into the lifeboat until she was forced into lifeboat 6. The officer took charge refused to return to those in the water, so she clashed with them, urging the women to row and organize. Once rescued, Molly did not rest. Aboard the Carpathia, she collected money for the Dutch-bound third-class survivors. She wrote letters to Congress and spoke to the press, demanding justice. The media couldn't get enough. She became a symbol of courage, resilience, and defiance. But she hated being called Molly. Her name was Margaret. Molly Brown did not slow down. She volunteered in France during World War I, helping wounded soldiers and rebuilding towns. She supported artists, spoke 5 languages, and even studied acting. In 1914, she ran for the U.S. Senate, just before women had the right to vote. She never won, but she never stopped fighting. Margaret Brown died in 1932 to a brain tumor. But by then, she already became a legend. She survived poverty, survived an iceberg, survived the judgment of society that told her to sit down and stay quiet. The ship may have gone down, but Margaret Brown never did. Comment unsinkable to honor the women that would not sink, in spirit or truth. Nazi trying to sink her, but they never could. Queen Mary was so fast, not even a submarine can catch fast. She carried over 15,000 soldiers at once. More than any ship in history. Named the Great Ghost, she zigzagged through U-boat waters at 30 knots. They say even Hitler offered an award to whoever sunk her. But Queen Mary survived the war, and now still stands proudly today in Long Beach. History's finest ship? Like and subscribe if you think so.